The cause, which I'm now the fifth vice postulator, has been going on since the 80s. Um, the way, of course, because of confidentiality that's required by Rome, but also the United States has HIPAA laws, which mean that we cannot reveal any medical records that we get. So our process is that if somebody identifies what they consider, sometimes they call it a miracle. We do not, because Rome is the only place that can actually verify something as a miracle. When Solanus's first miracle was approved by Pope Francis in 2017, he was the first US born male ever to have a miracle recognized. Um, so we have this thing called a favor report, which basically we ask people to fill in. Sometimes they want to call us and tell us the story, but we want the documentation. And so they fill out a favor report. We have about 14 pro bono physicians that we work with, oncologists and dermatologists and psychiatrists. Um, and so if it looks like we cannot pursue any potential miracle unless it occurred after May of 2017 when the first miracle occurred. So we've gotten some amazing stories from before that, but we can't pursue them. And the other thing is that there can be no credible medical explanation for whatever recovery there was. So if somebody has cancer and then they go through surgery and through chemo and radiation and then they're cured, we can't pursue it because one could argue that's the best perceived medical outcome. So we can only pursue those that appear to have there appears to be a cure with no medical explanation. So on average, we get about 50 to 60 favor reports a year, and that has not slowed down. That's why I keep saying it's not if, but when. All right. Out of those, I probably send 13 or 14 a year to physicians to say, okay, did the medical procedures they have, did this solve the cure, solve the problem? And th- ordinarily, some of them, they'll say, we can only answer that question if we get full medical records. So full medical records is a struggle sometimes. And we actually now have a form where we'll pursue the records if people don't want to. They have to give us legal permission to do that. And sometimes medical records run into the thousands of pages. So we'll get the medical records for some of them. We send them to the physicians. And then the physicians pour through these, and they're all board certified and all very experienced. And occasionally they will come back and say, I can't find any medical explanation for this. Most of the time they say, no, this is the intended outcome. So in those situations, I have a boss in Rome, a Capuchin by the name of Father Carlo. Carlo is the postulator general. So I'm the vice postulator for Solanus. But there are many, many venerable and blessed Capuchins around the world and sisters communities that we minister to, and they all have their own vice postulator. So if I get a case that I seems to suggest that there's no medical explanation, I send it to him. And then because he's worked with the congregation for the cause of saints for so long, he takes it around to the physicians, many of whom work for the Vatican. And if he decides to pull the trigger, and that's his job, then there has to be an investigation. So, for example, when Paula, that was the first miracle, that miracle purportedly happened in the Archdiocese of Detroit. So the investigation had to be done in the Archdiocese under the direction of the Archbishop. And there were interviews and there were medical records, and then everything had to be translated into Italian, and it was sent, and then it took about 3 years for the Vatican, because first it goes to two physicians, And Father Carlo says that if it gets past the first two physicians, then it's really sort of got a green light. It goes from then to seven physicians, and they have to have a vote of 5 out of 7 that there's no medical explanation. Then it goes to the theologians. Was this truly through the intercession of Solanus? Did they? Was it through other saints that they were? Then it goes to the cardinals. Then it goes to the Pope. So it's a long process, and we have many promising cases that come up, and we send them to Rome and then pray.